After 25 years, the three of us are sitting here together, and we have a lot of memories together. I want to take us back to the early days.
Yes.
On Edmonds and Rainier, right location, right in the middle of the hood where all the kids were that we wanted to serve. There's this thing about running after school programs that at some point you forget kind of about the program itself.
Yeah.
And you focus on the kids and the families, right? And that to me is the fun part of it.
Those very first conversations that you and I had when we were thinking about TAF and what it was going to be, we were looking at a holistic approach, right? Not just your kid's going to sit here for a couple hours and this is what we're going to teach them.
Yeah.
We were looking at the whole child. And that's ideally what education would be, right? Is looking at each individual child and the whole child. What do they need to succeed as a whole person?
I will just say, as your co-founder, that part came from you, right? As a social worker, like that's the thing you're thinking about. I was thinking more about the tech side, like what do we want to teach them? And you were thinking about the whole child and all the things that come with growing up in our communities and just growing up, period.
Right.
And that's what made this, the start of this work, be a strong foundation.
It was so exciting.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was good stuff.
It was good stuff.
Yeah, I think we learned to not let anything else distract us, which is why we're here 25 years later, right? Because if we would have listened, not everybody was ready for TAF.
No,
A whole lot of people weren't ready for TAF.
You want to bring that up?
And so,
my God.
you know, you don't have everyone cheering for you, so you have to stay steady. And we did. It was like, we are always going to keep kids at our center. I will never forget the TAF Academy conversation. I was just like, Trisha's completely lost it. She wants us to co-manage a school. And I'm like, I can't keep up with the children we have now, right? Like, how are we gonna do that? What does that look like? Trisha's like, okay, think about it like this. What if we took all of our best practices, everything we've put into our programs, and we were able to give kids that every day, 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday? What would be the impact of that, right? And we were gonna be very deliberate in making sure families of color knew this opportunity was for their children. And so that's what we did. And we were like, listen, you want something greater than what you're already getting? Come check out this school. We built such strong relationships. I think the families never really left us. They stayed in contact.
Absolutely.
Kids stayed in contact, even going through college. We knew how they were doing. They stayed connected to us, and then wanted to figure out how to help, which was always a part of our big plan, right? The full circle, right? College, get those good jobs, and then come back.
It is such an incredible thing that is unlike anything else. Because it is child and community centered, and you guys have maintained and stayed true to that mission and that ideal, you know, despite some huge challenges and a lot of entities trying to pull you other directions, and you just know this is right. We are about the kids and we're about the family, and you guys have always stayed true to that.
When we hire, we're looking for, yes, do you have the skills to do the job, but also more so, do you have the passion? Right? Because what's going to carry you on the hard days is your passion. Right? And so if you don't have that and you have lots of credentials and all of the things, this is not going to be the nonprofit for you. Right? If you're not passionate about students, kids, and racial equity, then we appreciate your time, but this one's not for you. There was one summer, we actually decided we were going to hire our own kids to do a project.
The job was to take our donor database and volunteer database which was built on Microsoft Access. So you had to have a standalone file and all that, and move it to a SQL Server backend, which was my product at Microsoft. SQL Server backend, and then a .NET a web-based front end, using the Microsoft .NET technology, which was new at that time. It was still when we started to use it, it was still in beta form. I looked at it and thought about, okay, the kids know how to program. They've never programmed a client server kind of thing. How long would it take for them to learn to do it? And then I knew at that point exactly who I wanted to do it. And because it was .NET, we just called them, and they were all young women, we called them the .NET Divas.
You all started at TAF in its early days. I think I might have been part of the second or third, maybe fourth cohort, but y'all were ahead of me. So talk to me about your experience deciding to go to school all day and then saying, I'm gonna go work on computers on the afternoons and not hang out with my friends.
When I joined, I was 14, and Trish was our teacher, and she used to call us Chatty Cathys because we'd talk a lot. And I had no idea what I was signing up for, literally. Like, I knew I wanted to try something different. And we took apart a computer the first day, and I was like, yes, I want to do this. And I did it all 4 years. And I can't imagine not doing it. Like, it was something that I just wanted to spend all my time doing, so.
I went to Boys and Girls Club to get tutor, right, for my English and whatnot. And so that's how TAF recruited me. I had no idea what that was, sign up. I had no clue what it was. All I thought in my mind was, oh, maybe this program will help me with my English, right? And I just signed up for whatever people tell me to sign up.
I love that, Willette.
Actually, Mai is the one who actually got me to come to TAF.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
I remember that.
Yes, we were taking classes. I think we were in math class together.
Is that right?
Yes.
How come I can't remember that?
Yes. You and the other Mai, and you recruited us to come to TAF.
Oh.
And you were like, there's this great program, and they give you scholarship money and an internship. You should join. And you gave me the application and everything. I think we were in pre-calculus together. She kept on telling me, like, did you sign up? Did you sign up? And I remember going in for the interview, and like Sherry was there, and everyone was like talking to us. And I was thinking, oh my God, they're not going to pick me. I have no clue about technology. I'm really just here for the scholarship. I want to be a doctor. Like, that's what I want to be.
Wait, so you plan to be a doctor?
Yes, I was going to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, and that
was very specific.
Yes,
at that age.
I had already decided, and technology was the farthest thing from my mind. But Maya was like, it's really cool. Just come, come. And we can catch the bus together because we were going to Roosevelt. So we would catch the bus from Roosevelt.
Funny.
All the way to Columbia City. And then once they moved to the Central District, we would catch the bus from the Roosevelt to the Central District. So that's how I got to TAF, because of her. It changed my life.
It changed my life.
Clearly, I did not become a doctor. I went into technology. And
specifically a cardiothoracic surgeon. That you were thinking that at like 14, 15 years old, right?
Yes.
You were focused.
I was definitely focused. My mind was set. And she changed my whole trajectory by introducing me to TAF.
I love
it. It was crazy.
That's amazing. I love that story.
So do y'all remember the project you worked on as interns at TAF?
We got titled the .NET Divas.
Yeah.
And it was us three working together, building a SQL database. And I remember running into some problems and Trish said, Willette, you always are really good at solving the really difficult things. Why do you always get hung up on the simple things? And I was like, I don't know. She was like, because you're overthinking it. Yeah. Go back in that room, think about it, and then come back and tell me what you come up with. That was
we always had to figure it out.
Nope.
And we were writing in ASP.NET.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
ASP.NET.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were learning it.
That's where the .NET Divas came from.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
TAF was exposing us to all of that stuff very early on. It was like, hey, yeah, you're only in high school, but you're going to do this.
And solve a real problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a fake thing. We were solving a real problem. So.
And so we all had to deliver.
Yeah.
And just to speak to the level of trust and belief that Trish had, right? Yeah. Right at that level.
Yeah.
Like some new thing, and here's this 3 girls high school. Like, you gotta figure it out.
Yeah. But we figured it out. We did
figured
figure it out. We had a working product at the end. We started that from the ground up.
Design to
Yeah.
build to test,
testing,
all of it.
the whole entire thing. We went through the whole development life cycle, which was really cool.
Did all of you intern at TAF first, or did you go to other companies? What was that process like?
I went to Network Commerce, my first internship. It was downtown, and I went there and I interviewed, and I kept on thinking, they're not gonna pick me. I'm once again, the technology thing, it's not my thing. I did really well in the classes while we were at TAF learning everything, but in my mind, technology still just wasn't my thing just yet.
Okay.
But I got there and I thrived. I actually met this lady, her name was Janetta Waterbury. She was an African-American lady. And it was the first time that I saw anyone like outside of TAF that looked like me, that was working in technology. And she took me under her wings. I remember we went to Palisades. It was like the entire restaurant was closed down. It was just her and I having lunch. She was like, this is what you can do if you just put your mind to it. You can have all of this stuff. Don't let them tell you that you can't have the fancy stuff, or you can't be successful, or because you're Black or a woman that you can't do technology. You can do this, and you're really great at it.
Very powerful.
Having that relationship with TAF and then having that relationship with her through TAF, it was so profound. It allowed me to really think that no matter what room I stepped into, no matter how many people looked or did not look like me, I could be successful, and I had a right to be in the room.
Yeah, I think obviously as people of color, we're not always at the starting line, and I think TAFT gave us the opportunity to be at the starting line. I had no idea that technology was a career that I could go into, and TAFT truly changed that. It changed my life. I love my job. I love being in tech. I love talking about it. I love hiring people. I love all of that. And I honestly don't know what I would have done if I had not gone through TAF.
One of the things that was so fascinating to watch was TAF go from this program to see it really grow into what it is today.
Yeah.
Which is one of the leading award-winning STEM training academies and schools. My younger cousins actually got a chance to attend TAF and graduate from TAF. And I was so jealous because I thought to myself, if I could have done this every day,
all day,
Monday through Friday, I would be absolutely, like, I'm great now, but like I would have been like exponentially incredible. And I want you all to share, a bit about what your hope is for TAF in the next, we're celebrating 25 years, but like the next 25 years, and how students really look at the opportunity that is in front of them and get to that point where, in 25 years, they're sitting here in these exact same chairs.
Yeah. I have 3 daughters, and one of my daughters, she tells me all the time, Mommy, I want to go into tech like you. I want to be a woman in tech. And in 25 years, I hope that she can sit in a meeting and not only be like one of many Black women in the room, but those people be touched by TAF in some capacity as well. And you can look and say like, yeah, we're TAF alums in a variety of ways.
When you invest in TAF, you're not investing into a checkbox. What you're investing into is real humans, real people that really can change the world. If you invest into diversity, what you're saying is you're investing into innovation. You're investing into creativity. You're investing into your company to make your company better.
It gives folks like us a chance. And so that is kind of what I want to leave with our supporters, because it changes all of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's future, right? We're building our future.
That's it.
Yes.
That's
the most important thing.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's been, 14 years since I was a teacher at TAF, at TTIP, at the Technical Teens Internship Program.
Yeah.
Probably more like 20 since I was your instructor.
Yeah.
And then going back even further when you first started at TAF.
It feels surreal that we're kind of like sitting here because I feel like time has flown by, but I still remember a lot of the lessons you've taught me, and having that accessible to me was really kind of crucial in me following kind of my career path and, you know, working at the same company as you do now. So, you know, when I was 16 years old, I was already able to work a full-time job at like a technology, you know, kind of area, and I felt like TTIP really gave me that chance.
I really like that TAF just came in at the right moment in your life. That, you know, if you think about the entire course of your life and all the things you learned, TAF was just a small part of that, giving you that lift right at the start. It just builds and builds and builds.
I actually remember you hosting a college event at Google where, you know, we did like a campus tour and talked about the different roles that, you know, that people can work on, or different projects that they can work on. And it really showed me that, hey, this could be kind of my next step in my career. So I think TAF really gave me some, you know, empowerment around like, hey, I have a choice and here's what my future can look like.
You know, having access to computers and programming from an early age is just something that, for the kids who really enjoy it, just lights them right up.
Yeah.
My experience was my dad bought a Radio Shack computer way back in the day, TRS-80, if you can believe it. And that's where I learned to program.
If you don't have access to it, like, you can't really explore, you can't really learn, as well as, you know, having something available. And that was one of the unique things about TAF, is like, hey, here are devices, here are things you can actually get really hands-on, spend time with. It kind of like snowballed to where, you know, it's like, okay, I have some of these experiences, I can actually do these things. And, you know, it really kind of gives you a little bit more confidence. You know, having kind of gone through TechStart and TTIP, and having good instructors such as yourself, it really was something where my parents were like, oh, we have to get, you know, my other siblings into this program, because whether or not they end up pursuing these types of careers, it gives them a good foundation, right? And at the time, my dad was like, pretty much like, yeah, I'm here for the three of you, whatever you need. It's after school. So he would literally drive the three of us to, you know, it was TechStart or TTIP at the time. And he would drop us off, and then he would actually like wait in the car until we were done with our lesson, and then, you know, drive us home. And and I think he got to know, you know, some folks like Sherry and Trish, like, just because, you know, they would see him sitting in the car and they'd be like, is there your dad outside? And so, yeah, it was one of those things where my parents trusted TAF to kind of provide me and my siblings with the additional education. Looking at it now, actually, like, myself and my siblings are all working in STEM related areas, right? So it's one of those things where my dad was like, he knew what was right for his kids. And I felt like TAF also knew early that STEM is gonna be important, right? And like, how do we get more people into STEM? And so it's one of those things where it kind of worked out.
So what's happening with TAF in the next 25 years?
I can really see TAF being embraced by companies and kind of being like an apprenticeship program or something where it's like, hey, you might not necessarily have the background, but through TAF, you can kind of get that and transition.
I would really like to see a lot of people figure out how TAF does what TAF does, so it can really start scaling, start helping people out, not just in Washington State, but anywhere really.
I've been really impressed with the kind of tenacity of people working at TAF to be able to continue this mission that started, 25 years ago.
I remember there was one time where a parent was like, I'm gonna take my child out. Her grades are slipping and it's just, I'm not doing this. And I said, can you give me a quarter? Can you give me one more quarter with her? And if it doesn't work and her grades are still slipping, you're her parent, you do what you have to do. And I remember her just excelling and getting into programming. And I'd have to remind some of our girls, like, if you can make it through this, you're gonna be able to make it through anything. So when it gets hard, just remember that you got this. And then the parent came back and thanked me. And she's a mom now, thriving and doing incredible community work. So those are the moments you think back, you're like, okay, I made a difference. I gave my best advice I had at the time, and now look. A parent knows that when they come and start being a part of the community, the TAF community, no matter what school they're at, and they start to watch this shift in their child, and they come back and tell us about that. I just got a really nice quote from a parent over the weekend who was just like, this is a part of my family. TAF is a part of my family. 2 of my children went to TAF Academy, TAF at Sahali, and they're doing amazing things. We were with you for 7 years. You are a part of our family. That's huge.
Yeah.
And when I think about other schools, how many people get that back, right? It comes back to us.
Well, how did you all find out about TAF? Because we came, when it was really brand new.
Right. Yeah.
So my kids had the pleasure of starting really, I don't even remember what year it was, but my daughter's 30-something now, and she works in the field. But golly, yeah, this was a long time ago.
Wow.
When they started, and the TAF was on Rainier Avenue. It was in this older building, and we'd drive them up there, and they loved it. I had 2 girls who started. Now I have 6 kids, but the 2 girls started. And actually all 5 of them were involved in some way or another.
Nice.
Yeah.
A friend invited me to a luncheon. And Trish was the keynote speaker.
Oh, okay.
And so that was probably maybe about 15 years ago or so, or plus.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And so at the luncheon, Trish was just a magnificent speaker.
Yeah.
And was just sharing the programs, talking about the success and what the kids were working on and what they was teaching them and how they were, it was just amazing work. And then Trish shared with us that her new vision, and the vision was to actually expand that after school program into actually being inside the classroom, inside the school itself.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking I would love for at least one of my 3 to be a part of this program. In which case then it was the right choice for Cameron, my youngest.
I see. Yeah. I know for Maya, my daughter, she was about 12 or 13, and she would want to help set up the VCR. And I looked at her like, you want to do this? You want to set up this? You don't just want to put the tape in and play it. You want to set it up? So I gave it to her, and from that point on, I would always let her set up any sort
Anything
of
electronic.
any electronic. You know, I think it was the phone answering machine, which we don't even have anymore, right?
Right.
But she always took to that sort of thing, and so TAF was just a perfect place for her to be. It was an amazing opportunity to be able to find that.
With Cameron, he went from again, being in the high school, the internship at the Fred Hutch, going on to university, getting his bachelor's degree, again, working with others, because that was a key focus in college, so it wasn't foreign to him. Then from there, he came back and got a job at the Fred Hutch and worked for them for a few years. Then he went on to pursue his master's degree in public health. And the university, that program for public health, for that master program, was case-based learning plus project-based learning.
Project-based, right.
And today, he's, like I said, he's in Toronto at a hospital with project-based learning, collaboration, because he's meeting with the president, the CEO of the hospital, collaborating with doctors in all the different fields. So I feel like his journey has come full circle. You know, just with what he learned.
It's like the learning to work in projects and with groups is what happens in the work world. That's the, that's just the way that things get done.
If I have to say anything to parents now of what I've learned back then, it's pretty much to say just be patient. Because anything good, like an opportunity like this, when it comes around, take that chance. Take that risk.
TAF just stands so unique and so special, and we literally reap the benefits of that with our children who are able to learn and grow as a result and find employment as well as friends, and just, it impacted their lives in such a way that it made sense that we need to support this organization, because it's doing the real thing. It's doing the real work.
It's doing the real work, One of the most unexpected things that happened over our history was when we inherited the Martinez Fellows Program. That was another one of those days where you came in and said, what do we think about managing the program, taking it over? And I remember hearing about all the good work, because we had attended some of their fundraisers. And we're very excited about the work they were doing with teachers and supporting teachers, specifically teachers of color. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be incredible for us to have that resource, and for our schools to be able to tap into that resource? And it aligned really well with the work we were already doing, right? Teachers that look like the students that are being served. That was going to be an incredible opportunity. So I was actually really excited about that when you came and talked to me, because it felt really natural. I know we had to think about the process of inheriting another program because it was not in the plan. So it was new, but I remember just being really, really excited about it.
It was definitely was not expected, right? So I had met Holly back in 2008, the first year of TAF Academy. I think it might have been early 2009, like that 2008, 2009 school year. And got to know her. I wanted her to see what was going on at TAF Academy. And the relationship went from there. And before we know it, I think maybe 2 years later, we had 4 Martinez Fellows on that TAF Academy campus. It made a huge difference, right? And then one day, this is in early 2015, I'm pulling up in the parking lot here, And I get this call from Holly, and she's like, Trish, you know, I need to talk to you. So I pulled into my little parking spot, and I'm sitting there, and she goes, Edgar and I are going to, we're going to fold the foundation, but we want the work to keep going. Can TAF take it? And I immediately say yes. And then I said, but you know, I have to ask my board, right? So, and that's when I came in and I was talking to you about it. And it was a good fit. You know, the thing that I worried about more than anything is how would other people see how it fit for us? Like we knew that it fit for us. And then there's also the logistics of, okay, it's one thing to inherit a program. It's another thing to understand how it runs. Right. And so how long is it going to take us to understand how it runs? How much does it cost to run it? So thankfully, they gave us 2 years worth of funding so that we can focus on the program itself instead of just also having to fundraise for it. We have over 300 fellows.
Right.
Which is pretty cool. And we made a decision to grow the fellowship an additional 10 fellows per year. So when we started, we were bringing in 25 fellows. Then the next year we brought 35 and then 45 and 55. So we finally got ourselves on that clip. And I think this coming year, we're supposed to bring in 75.
Yeah, that's going to be the largest.
It's going to be the largest. And the thing that people need to understand is that the fellowship is not just the 3 years that you do with us. No. It's your entire career, right? So we're responsible for providing networking opportunities, you know, beyond that 3 years, and then moving people into leadership, helping them get into leadership and all that. So when all is said and done, by 2036, we will have 2,400 Martinez Fellows.
Wow.
2,400.
That's a big number.
And I think we're on track. But what it's going to take is for us to be able to, and deliver that personal service, is for us to be able to have the resources to expand the team to support these teachers. When I think about trying to get a school going and trying to build a building and then having the economy tank and all this stuff and all the, you know, we've been through 2 layoffs, right? We've been through 2 layoffs and we have seen a lot together.
I think about the interview with the two of you 25 years ago, walking into the building and feeling like I had completely bombed it, and calling my mom after I interviewed, and she's like, well, how'd it go? And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't get the job. And then 2 days later, getting a letter in the mail. And I remember at the time, my son was 8. Alan was 8.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And I remember I was like, this is the moment we get to jump on the bed. And I remember us jumping on the bed with the letter, like celebrating. And now you fast forward 25 years later, I stuck with it and I stayed, and I can still get up and say I'm excited about my work. I have an uncle, my Uncle Ed, that I adore, and he will always ask me, how's it going at work when I see him or I talk to him and we talk about it. And he always says, you're so lucky, you found it. You found your spot, that you could be you could be passionate, and you can keep going. I'm so proud of you. And like,
You're good.
Moments like that where, you know, my mom will tell me like, I'm so proud of what you're doing. Like, you make a difference. I want to hear the stories about your day and the people you work with. Feeling great about the tomorrow of TAF. There's going to be a tomorrow and a tomorrow after that. And I get to be part of something great.
You know, for me, having you be as much TAF as I am makes me feel really good. It makes me feel really comfortable. It makes me feel like the best decision I ever made in my life 25 years ago was hiring you.
Oh.
So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm done, because I'm gonna start crying in a minute. So Jamila, here we are 25 years later.
25 years.
25 years. And you have been on the board for 5 years. You're in the second year as board president. Thank you very much. But I'm curious if you would share, like, in your 5 years, the growth that you've seen at TAF and what your hopes are for the future of TAF.
Absolutely, and I've been a big fan of TAF even before my 5 years on the board, I have to say. And from what I've seen TAF evolve from, of being an after-school program to where we are today, of not only educating kids, but helping to educating kids in STEM, to be specific, to increasing the number of teachers of color throughout the state of Washington, to just how we've connected more with companies as Seattle has become a tech hub, of them getting firsthand experience of the students and the magic that TAF is helping to accelerate. It's just been huge and phenomenal success, and I'm really excited to see what the next 25 years would bring. So Trish, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the impact that we have had these first 25 years and where we're going?
Well, you know, when we turned 20, we set a 20-year goal of opening 3 school partnerships for transformation, bringing in 2,400 new teachers of color, right? This is by 2036. And I'm happy to say that we're actually on track. So when we look at our transformation program, our partners with schools, over the next 3 years, we will educate over 5,000 students.
That's amazing.
And we will also bring in 255 teachers of color into Washington State Public Schools, and they will impact 23,000 plus students. So I'm really excited about our growth. I'm excited about the work.
The work is just so important. It's important to continue to build equity in education. It's important to build pipeline that tech companies are always saying they're suffering with. These are the types of things that TAF is helping to do, and overall build and continue to build diversity that we all know is very important. So to think that for just $350, we can take a child through a full year program at TAF. So my ask to you is to think about the importance of this work, and do you have $350 that you can give us to continue to make impact for the next 25 years?
I hope everyone decides to support the work of TAF. It is very important.
Absolutely.
But the other thing that's also important is that we celebrate the last 25 years and also recognize that we're not done yet.
That's right. We're not.
Let's raise the glass though.
Let's do it.
All right. Everybody, raise your glass with us and let's toast TAF's 25 years and wish us a healthy 25 more. Cheers.
Cheers to TAF.